Please stand. Please place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Each of us is a minority with respect to something. It might be race, religion, sexual orientation, nationality, or any other way we may be different. Each of us is also part of some majority. And it is when we wear our majority hats that we need to be most mindful of how we treat others. We must pledge our best efforts to help one another and defend the rights of all citizens and residents in that regard. We must treat our fellow human beings with respect and dignity. That's not to say we should close our eyes. Rather, we must keep them constantly open to the serious issues that city government can and should improve. There are differences of opinion. This is a diverse community. But we must work together on behalf of all who live in this community and gain strength and sustenance from one another through reason, compassion, and tolerance. Amen.
Amen.
Nicely stated. I'll take a report of the city clerk on the posting of the agenda.
Your Honor, this agenda was posted on our posting board and the city's website on Thursday, July 20th.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to waive further reading.
Motion to waive further reading of resolution and ordinances after number and title.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Announcement of withdrawn, deferred, and/or supplemental items.
Mayor, we are withdrawing item 9D to appoint a designated voting member delegate for the League of California Cities meeting. And there are supplemental, we're provided supplemental materials for item 8C to approve payment of the South Bay Cities Council government membership dues for fiscal years 2017 to 2020. And item 8F to approve funds for Torrance Cultural Arts Center Meeting Room Grant Program for fiscal years 2017 and 2018.
Thank you. Council committee meetings and announcements. Councilwoman Ashcraft.
Thank you. There will be a City Council refinery workshop Saturday, August 5th, 2017. The time will be 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and it will be located in the Toyota Meeting Room, which is located at 3330 Civic Center Drive, Torrance, 90503. And our topic that day will be the refinery update.
Thank you. Councilmember Goodrich.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I wanted to report that Tuesday, August 15th, 2017, from 3 to 4 p.m. in the City Manager Assembly Room, there will be a State Legislative Advocacy Committee meeting with the topic of League of California Cities resolutions.
Thank you. With the concurrence of council, I'd like to request that staff return with an item to consider a subsidy rental fees for the use of Wilson Park by the American Cancer Society for the Bark for Life event to be held on Sunday, October 22nd, 2017. We have a concurrence. The next item on the agenda is community matters, and for that I will come down to the podium. Item 6A is a proclamation declaring August 1st, 2017 as National Night Out Against Crime in the City of Torrance. Sergeant Michael Chance, join me at the podium. Good to see you, Sergeant. Good to see you, sir. Councilmember Herring, could you please read the proclamation for us, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique and nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August the 1st, 2017, entitled National Night Out, and whereas this 34th annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the City of Torrance to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country and in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas Neighborhood Watch and community involvement play a vital role in assisting the Torrance Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in our city. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of Torrance be aware of how vital their participation is in preventing crime and criminal activities, the Torrance Police Department is continuing its efforts to promote our See Something, Say Something campaign to work together to help reduce crime. And whereas the police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of National Night Out program.
Now, therefore, I, Patrick J. Fury, as mayor of the city of Torrance, California, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 1st, 2017, as National Night Out Against Crime in the city of Torrance, and I urge all of the citizens of Torrance to continue their efforts in working together with the police, fire, and city departments in keeping our community safe. Signed this 25th day of July, 2017. Sergeant.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. This year, National Night Out celebrates its 34th anniversary on Tuesday, August 1st. The Torrance Police Department has promoted and participated in this event for the last 16 years. National Night Out has proven to be an effective and enjoyable program to promote neighborhood spirit and police community partnerships. It is an opportunity for our officers to get to know our amazing neighborhood watch members and citizens. The Torrance Police Department anticipates attending over 20 National Night Out block parties, which will be held throughout the city. Members of the community are encouraged to attend their local block parties and meet us. The Torrance Police Department looks forward to participating in this annual event and the lasting bonds created through positive interaction with the community. Thank you.
And on behalf of my colleagues on the council, last year was the first year we actually went dark on National Night Out, and that gave us an opportunity to go visit with a lot of the gatherings that were going on. 20 of them are happening this time, but we could do more, and I think the Neighborhood Watch program is the greatest part of that. You get to meet your neighbors, and National Night Out is so cool because all the police are out, the neighbors get to meet them and speak with them and talk about all the different programs that we have. See Something, Say Something is very important. A lot of good things have happened because of this evening, and look forward to it again this year and from now on. So thank you very much, Sergeant.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's get a picture. I knew Eddie would come down. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is oral communication number 1. It's limited to a 30-minute period. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comment on items not on the agenda. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, City Council cannot act on items raised during public comment, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. Speakers under Orals 1 are limited to either oral communication number 1 or oral communication number 2, which is at the end of the meeting. In any event, no longer than 3 minutes per speaker. There is a timer at the podium, so that you please don't go over to 3 minutes so we don't have to interrupt. And speakers, please turn off or leave your cellular phone when you come to the podium to speak. If you're presenting handout material to council, please provide 10 copies to the city clerk before speaking. Do we have anybody signed up?
Yes, Your Honor, Sylvia Merlos.
Hi, I'm here again, and I just want to say thank you again for taking all of the information that we brought to you into consideration. It was a little unfortunate that the two, I've heard your words today, and they were very touching, and I have to say I'm just a little in love with you today. So, unfortunately, the two most obvious minorities on this city council really decided to vote against considering the further removal of this traffic commissioner. And that kind of breaks my heart, because as a woman, I've experienced discrimination. As a Latina, I have too. And it just really breaks my heart when people refuse to acknowledge that, especially when they have to live it themselves every day. What I will say is, I would love for Torrance to reconsider its stance on SB54. I think that there's a lot of talk that has been had in the city of Torrance by particular individuals. We don't mean to say that all of Torrance residents are doing this. There are particular Torrance residents that are coming into our communities to create violence. And when they show up wearing T-shirts that say "straight out of Torrance," it's hard to say we're not going to associate that with the city. But there are many reasons to reconsider this bill. It does make cities safer, because you do have, whether you want to admit it or not, and whether you want to acknowledge these individuals or not, there are people in the city of Torrance who are undocumented. And for a lot of reasons, they are fearful of going to law enforcement and going through the system for different things, especially when the city is saying, we're not backing you up. And it doesn't really make sense to me when your city's policies, as far as police go, from my understanding, is that they do local work and not federal. When you have sanctuary cities and somebody is a victim of crime and they are undocumented, they are able to report it, so that the rest of the people who are documented, who are here, citizens, residents, don't have to deal with that criminal. When you have a sanctuary city, that means that as a woman, I am protected if somebody is raped and the only witness happens to be undocumented, and that person, that rapist, gets away because that witness cannot come forward or is afraid to come forward. Now, these are things people don't think about, and I would love for you to think about that and to think about the financial contributions that undocumented immigrants make to this state. They contribute $181 billion to the gross domestic product of this state. That is the amount of the entire state of Oklahoma. So please take that into consideration, because they are not criminals and they are not rapists.
Thank you.
Joseph Moreno.
Hi, Council. As you know, we have some people that come to my community, not only my community, but our community, and say all these negative words about us. Now, what they say doesn't represent me or my community. And I'm glad that the mayor stated that these specific people don't represent you guys, because they don't. Maybe, like, the saying that they always tell us, just because there's a couple rotten apples doesn't mean that that everything else is rotten. Now, like my friend Sylvia said, I feel like we should reflect on your decision for SB54. I am a Mexican American. I have family that are undocumented, and sometimes they need this. Some people, like my family, need this. They work really hard in construction. My dad works in car dealerships. My mom goes to school, and she works at she works at a school with special ed. And we want the city of Torrance to be an example for everyone else here. We don't want people being racist against others just because they don't come here. We want to be equal, but yet some people don't want to see it like that. And the fact that there's 2 council members that voted against the traffic commissioner so he could stay, it saddens me because I've seen him before. He speaks so negatively against my community. He says such bad things. And the fact that 2 council members voted so he could stay saddens me. I mean, yeah, maybe he might have done a good job, but outside of that, he scared a lot of us. Like, we would be in Cudahy, and the kids that would hear him say all these negative stuff, and there's a park across the street. So you imagine your traffic commissioner saying all these negative stuff about my community, in my community, and kids that are the age of my brother, 6 years old, hearing this. And then they go home and ask their parents, what are they talking about? And it saddens that their parents have to explain what this means, because no child should be hearing this. A 40-year-old or 30-year-old man screaming at us, saying that we should go back to Mexico. And I just want you guys to reconsider your thoughts on SB54, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Richard Vargas.
Good evening. My name is Richard Vargas. I'm going to lighten up the mood. I'm here asking about Prop 64. In November, the voters of California approved Prop 64, which legalized the recreational use of cannabis. So I'm asking if the city has developed strategies to enhance public safety, prevent the youth from consuming cannabis. Has the city developed rules that will oversee businesses and tax licenses, and where the businesses can be located? I know that there's a prior history in Torrance with a ban, so I'm here asking those questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Haran Carrillo.
Haran Carrillo. Next one.
Kat Hernandez.
Oh, that's me. Wait, you're up. I'm getting it. Sorry. Hold on. Can you hold this for a second? Okay. Do you want to wait for Haran, or?
No, come up.
Okay. First of all, I would like to commend Kurt for his poignant invocation. Very apt. Thank you again, sir. And I would not wear a T-shirt that says "Straight Out of Torrance." That's just stupid. And I want to cede my time to Kaney Arnold.
Hello, my name is Kaney Arnold. From Harbor City, right across the street from y'all over on the other side of Western. And for transparency purposes, I am a candidate for Assembly District 66. And I just wanted to come here and express my sadness that this body would actually be for SB54 and for putting the fear in 2 million residents of the state of California, and be along with our president in trying to put the fear in 11 million people in America of being deported. I personally have extended family. I have a member that served in the United States Marines, was part of the 1st Battalion going in to Iraq during the first wave of that war, which I was against, but he served his country, and now he's facing the possibility of being deported because of people that have voted like you have. I just want to say you should all be extremely ashamed of yourselves, and I can't believe that you've taken that position. And I would hope that you would reconsider. If you've read the bill, you understand that it talks about that violent offenders and serious felonies There's an exception for that, where law enforcement can cooperate with the federal government. If you know that, I don't understand why you voted to be for that bill. The other thing I'd like to talk about is what's not on the agenda, which is continued discussion of the refinery, which I know has been a controversial item and many people are probably tired of hearing it, but I think you all have a responsibility for taking a deeper look and deeper analysis at that. All I've seen is lobs back and forth of insults between different factions in Torrance and the wider South Bay community, and that's disappointing. Having worked for the Air Force for 32 years, I think you should all be able to commission a study to look into it further. The EPA has already done a study, and I'm kind of shocked that your city isn't taking this more seriously, yet at the same time is more than willing to deport millions of Americans that have served the country and worked for many of you in your homes, working in your front yards, worked on your homes. I think y'all should be ashamed of yourself, and I would hope that you would reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. I would suggest that everybody who's coming up here talking about Senate Bill 54 should read the letter that was written in opposition to that bill. It's very lengthy. It's very detailed. It's not biased. It's not opinionated. It's based on pure fact, not on the hyperbole that has been put out about that whole issue. So I stand by the letter that we sent. Next.
Sandy Garcia. Sandy Garcia. Carlos Hildago.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, Council Lady. My name is Carlos Hidalgo, and I'm here to speak up on SB54. First of all, let me say, 3 years ago, I became a victim of the 287G law that allowed the Sheriff's Department for ICE to enter the facility and arrest undocumented people that have been arrested. I've been here since the age of 11. And because of the 287G law then, I lost everything I had and everything I worked for, including the custody of my children. Spending a year and a half under this 287G law and the discretionary rules that ICE practices, because there are rules, discretionary rules, leaving this body of ICE to their own discretion to do what they want to do, ruin a lot of lives, change the ways that we live as immigrants. As I see here and putting a lot of the names, Rizzo, Goodrich, Woodman, Fury, they come from different areas of the countries in the world, stating that this country has been founded by immigrants since its birth. And to be now in this time and age of 2017 and still arguing the reason of freedom and right for immigrants, it saddens me. To have a child to come here and speak on that, it saddens me. Kids like him should not have to worry about this. I lost everything I worked for. The security and financial security that I had for my children is gone. Once I won my release of a $10,000 bond, I was in a $23,000 debt with attorneys to prey on my misfortune of being arrested. Please reconsider. You're playing with people's lives and way of life, not just life, but way of lives. I had this conversation with Councilwoman Molina, who was pro 287G law. And 287G law focused on people that have committed certain type of crimes. But at the discretion of ICE, everybody was a victim and everybody was a criminal. So everybody was going in and everybody's being deported. I don't know the statistics, but I can tell you right now, many homes that were broken were affected by children and now have become victims of drugs, gang members, because that security they had, the foundation was gone by a parent being deported or both of them being deported. I was deported. So for the last 4 years, I dedicated myself as an advocate to be here and be in every way I could, speak up on that. Because we all have a dream, and we all have the right to exercise that dream. And we cannot be excluded just because we're immigrants. Let's be colorblind. not judge anybody by their race or creed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lynn Robinson.
Lynn Robinson with the Torrance Rose Float Association. I'm here to remind everyone that this Thursday is our Restaurants for Roses at Hoff's Hut from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You do need the flyer so that we can get our percentage. We hope to see you all during the day to support our fundraiser, and here are some flyers for the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Sutton.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, City Attorney, City Manager. As I said before, I would be back with my flyers for the event that's happening on August the 5th at El Camino College from 11 to 1. And I know by now each one of you have one, so I just wanted to come back and fulfill my promise that I would bring them back for you. And if you notice on the back of the flyer, anyone who receives them that I pass them out to, they can go online and register, and that they will be guaranteed a backpack. So therefore, we can have some kind of organization with that. But I hope to see you all there, and I would love to invite you there, and I would love to see your faces. And we have a lot of prizes to give away. And thanks to the Honorable Mayor, who is hosting this, and Honorable Stephen Bradford, Senator Stephen Bradford, and also Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's the honorary host. So I look forward to all of you being there. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else?
No one else is currently signed up, Your Honor.
Anybody else wish to be heard? I see no one. We'll move on with the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Councilmember Wiedemann, you want 8C, and Councilwoman Ashcraft 8F, as in Frank?
Correct.
Does anybody else from the council wish to remove any items? I see none. Are there any members of the public that wish to discuss any of the items on the consent calendar? I see none, so I'll take a motion to concur with the... Sir?
8B.
8B as in boy?
As in boy.
I'll take a motion to concur with the rest of the consent calendar.
Your Honor, I move that we approve the consent calendar's items 8A, 8D, 8E, 8G. That's it.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Okay, we're going to take them in alphabetical order. Sir, could you come up to the podium?
Sure. Right, 8B is about...
When you get up to the podium so we can record it. Your
Kenny
name,
Arnold. Regarding 8B...
Your name, sir.
Oh, Kenny Arnold. And regarding 8B, my concern is a lease for a hangar for $1 for 3 years just seems like not a very well negotiated position for the city.
If you were negotiating for a $1 lease, you would say the other thing, wouldn't you?
Exactly, I would. Yeah. And that's my point. You're not representing that party, you're representing
Well, perhaps I should have staff
city.
explain that to you then.
No, and you will have time, but I'm on my time right now. So I'd like to explain my position, and my position is that the city should take a closer look at it. When you have someone that's making $72,000 as a nonprofit and they're getting a $1 lease, that sounds like a pretty good deal. I'd like to submit the paperwork. Sorry, I don't have 10 copies, just one, but it's a copy of the 990 showing the income or the compensation to the president of the foundation. And it's fine if that's what the city wants to do, but I think it should be open to a little more public discussion, a little bit more scrutiny, and And it's certainly your judgment if you want to give a foundation a lease for 3 years for $1. But I did think that it was appropriate to raise it as a public comment and let the public be aware of it and make sure that the item's in public record that somebody is making $72,000, at least back in 2015, for that foundation. And again, your judgment. That's it.
Thank you. Staff like to explain what the lease on 8B is all about?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Sean Megardichin with General Services. This item for the Western Museum of Flight was originally before you on June 6th, whereas the museum has requested additional storage space for a lot of their items. They have some large displays coming in, and so they've requested assistance from the city. At that point, the council directed staff to develop a 3-year license agreement with an 18th month review, and that's what's before you this evening. I'm available if there are any additional questions.
Are there any questions from the council? I see none. Any additional questions from the public? I see none. I'll take a motion to concur with the staff recommendation.
Motion to concur.
I second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next item is 8C from the City Manager's Office to approve payment for South Bay City Council of Governments membership dues for fiscal years 2017 through 2020. Councilmember Wiedemann.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I really have no questions of staff. However, I wanted to pull this item for a specific reason because I wanted to explain to the residents of the City of Torrance about the South Bay Council of Governments, because this is an organization composed of 16 cities in the county of Los Angeles that was formed in 1994. And the vision and mission of this organization is to improve the quality of life and maximize the productivity of the South Bay region. You know, while as cities, we value what makes us unique and independent, but often we need the combined endeavors of all the cities in a proven and productive manner, such that there are problems that don't stop because it's the city boundary of Torrance. The staff presentation does a very good job. However, I am particularly grateful to my colleague Councilman Ashcraft for asking for the supplemental, the pink version, where she asks, list some of the accomplishments and what are some of the successes and financial benefits to the cities. Staff was able to put together 13 bullet points, all positive, that all affect the members of this community. And as far as financial rewards, well, I'll quote from the supplemental: obtained $906 million for Measure R, $850 million for Measure M, specifically for the city of Torrance over the lifetime of these taxes. Additionally, since 2010, through a program called the Energy Leadership Program, and that's a program with the South Bay COG and South SCE, whereas the city is given incentives of 0.09 cents for every kilowatt hour of energy savings. This city has obtained energy savings of over $1,152,000. So I think the city of Torrance, which since the inception of this organization has been an active member in this Council of Governments, I think the dues of $43,000 are well worth the effort. And that's for this year and then subsequent years. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anybody else from the council wish to be heard? I have somebody named Perry Johnson signed up.
City Clerk. I have a handout for everyone in the City Council. Perry Johnson, Honorable Mayor, members of the Torrance City Council, thank you for letting me speak. I'd like to disagree with your councilman who just spoke. The South Bay Council of Governments is a regional government. It is not authorized under the California Constitution. It is not authorized under the county charter or under the Torrance Charter. They invented themselves. No one is elected to the South Bay City Council of Governments. I have not seen it on my ballot ever, and I've been here since 1969. It's an unelected bureaucracy. It's a regional government. I'd like to quote from you, from the pamphlet I gave you, which talks about a regional government, which the South Bay City of Governments is. Political regionalism is the antithesis of representative government. Regionalism restructures or reinvents the operation of government. Regionalism is the blueprint for your serfdom. It has infiltrated cities and counties everywhere, affecting transportation, water, farming, and land use systems, literally every aspect of your life. Regionalism is being used to destroy traditional political boundaries, such as county lines and city lines. They're in competition with you over power and money. Regionalism ushers a transformed system of governance that ultimately abolishes private property. So you 7 people in front of me, if you own your house or your condominium, the South Bay City Council of Governments is opposed to private ownership of property. Your children and grandchildren will not own a house or a condominium. Look at the South Bay City Council of Governments as a watermelon. They spout green. They spout climate change. They spout sustainability. That's the green. But if you look inside them, they're red. They propose an atheistic, radical socialism for the South Bay. Please vote against item 8C. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard? I'll take a motion. Oh, Councilwoman Ashcraft.
Okay, I'd just like to clarify a little bit my position on this. I am represented by Mr. Wiedemann on the South Bay Council of Governments. He has been elected, and because of that, he represents, and I happen to be the alternate. The people that are comprise that group happen to be elected officials from their office. So in my book, that's elected. If we disagree with something Mr. Wiedemann does or brings back, then we tell him and he takes it to the Council of Governments. So he's my representative. I happen to be the alternate. If it were someone else up here, they're authorized because they are elected. Thank you.
Very well stated. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve item 8C.
Second, and thank you, Councilmember Wiedemann, for serving us on that board.
You're welcome.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next item we'll address is item 8F from the Cultural Arts Commission and General Services to approve funds for Torrance Cultural Arts Center Meeting Room Grant Program fiscal year 2017-2018. Expenditure is $3,109, and Councilwoman Ashcraft.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions for staff on this item, and I was answered, but I'd like to, thank you, be answered in public so that the people that, a couple of people called me regarding this, and one of my questions was the date that was written on the letter that was mailed to ask people to apply was felt it didn't give sufficient time for the nonprofits to consult their boards because some people got it and only had less than a week to respond. And they themselves, whoever got the letter, couldn't make the decision on their own. They had to have a board, and so it didn't give them time to then have a board consultation and then respond to the letter. So it seemed like insufficient time. Then my next question was, how are the groups chosen that had the letter sent to them? Because one of the groups said that they had never gotten a letter before. So could you answer those questions?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jordan Rummery, and I am the Senior Business Manager for the Cultural Arts Center under General Services. The Cultural Arts Center Meeting Room grant program has been in existence since 1999. And at that point, it was created to offer rental relief to some grandfathered programs. In 2001, a process was created that these funds could be distributed towards other groups that would be entering into the agreement. However, we've not been able to do that before based on the amount of groups that were already in there. The funding was already set aside for them. During the past year, due to changes in rentals or disbandment of the original groups, funding has become available. This is our first time that we have opened the program, and when the Arts Council of Torrance asked to be added, we informed them in March of 2017 that there was a process. In order to meet these deadlines as outlined in that process, that's why we mailed them on May 18th with a turnaround of May 25th, so that we'd be able to announce this to the Torrance Cultural Arts Commission for their June meeting, so that we could quickly get this approved for the 2017-2018 year.
Okay, what you just said didn't make a whole lot of sense, because evidently one group was told in March that this would be coming, but there were other groups that didn't have any clue it was coming, and they had less than a week to respond, so that doesn't sound fair.
Well, this was our first time rolling this out. When we found out that it was going to happen, that's when we took a look at the process. It took a little bit of time to familiarize ourselves with the process, as we haven't done this before.
So why didn't we give more time then? It just sounds like it wasn't well thought out. That seems to be a problem.
Good evening, Councilwoman Cheryl Blue, General Services. This program was created many years ago, and well, it's been 16 years since we've had money available, since other groups have dropped out. And we recently found out this spring that it was happening. I do apologize. We will do a better job in the future of letting the groups know. A group had approached us in March. I had to dust off the policy for Jordan, and we worked as quickly as we could so that we could meet the deadlines that are outlined in the program, which is to take it to the commission and then to bring it to council by June. And
okay, well, yeah. I probably wouldn't have paid that much attention to the dates and not known about all that, other than two groups specifically contacting me that were excited because this was available, but very upset because they couldn't meet your deadline because it was too short a notice. So therefore, even sending the letter to them was a problem.
yes, and we will be notifying them earlier next year. We will do a better job.
Well, now they'll know it's available also.
Yes.
Well, also, now that staff has familiarized ourselves with the program, we plan on sending out letters in early March this upcoming year, as well as posting on the new city website, as well as social media. So we plan on getting the word out there a little bit better.
Okay.
Also, as far as all of the letters that were sent out, we did send out letters to, as per the process, to every organization, every Torrance nonprofit that has rented from us in the past 2 years.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wiedemann.
Just a note of clarification. Council has a discretionary fund, a very modest discretionary fund of approximately $10,000 or $12,000, depending on how much we've used in the last month. All these organizations are still eligible for coming before us and asking us to rent the Nakano.
That is
The
correct.
meeting room, the Armstrong even.
Absolutely. And I just want to point out that this program, our program, is specifically just for meeting rooms at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center and is not for the Armstrong Theater or classrooms.
I hope the parties that weren't able to make the date and the deadline will be listening to this and will apply again next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the council? I see none. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard? I see none. I'll take a motion to concur with the staff recommendation. 8F.
So moved.
Second.
Start voting, please. Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 9A from Community Planning and Design Committee to approve design changes and appropriate funding for refurbishment of the City Hall Plaza.
Mayor, there is a presentation, so I will be moving.
Would you please move me over?
Yes.
All of us.